Good morning, everybody. It's Saturday, July 29th, I think, 2023, the last weekend in July, and I hope you're all keeping well and life is being good to you and you're being kind to yourself. Just a quick reminder tomorrow night, Sunday, on Sarah Mondaini's channel is the return of Hocus Focus. Yeah, I'll be looking forward to that. I know I am. I was wrecked after doing the first show because I'd been away, but now it's a good show. Very interesting stuff on auguries and animal high strangeness and stuff, and on other subjects too. You'll really like it. So I hope you're all keeping well, like I said, and I want to talk about the concept of simulation theory versus the Matrix. I was talking to a friend there 2 weeks ago, and they said they're totally down with the simulation theory thing. They're totally down with that. Now, the difference between a simulation theory, um, simulation theory, and the matrix theory, the quantum field theory, is simulation theory is created for us. Basically a visual sensory prison or zoo created for us by an alien force or a super force or something else. So basically, and we have no control over it. So the simulation is basically we're living in a movie that's being played for us. We have no control over it, and that's basically it. I don't agree with it. I'll tell you why. In fact, it falls apart very quickly when you look at quantum theory. Now, the concept that we're being pushed into this false reality and being held here is very Gnostic. It's basically, simulation theory is basically quantum Gnosticism. Gnosticism is a spiritual belief that maintains that this physical universe is a prison. This planet is a prison, and the only way to escape it is to escape the cycles of reincarnation and be dead. To be dead. So, death is the only option that Gnosticism offers. And this is why both the pagans and the Christians philosophers wrote, scathing things on it. They shouldn't have been oppressed, and they shouldn't have been. It was the Christians who slaughtered them all, not the pagans. The pagans just laughed at them, but didn't kill them. The Christians slaughtered them. Now, Gnosticism is just basically the worship of death. That's all it is at the end of the day. And things in paganism, things like that happen. Like the Manibus cult in the end of Imperial Rome happened. So, not Imperial, pagan Rome. So, the worship of the death. Death is the answer. And that's simulation theory, really, when you think about it. You have no control over it. It's very much like a kind of Lutheranism, Calvinism, that it's all about predestination, and you're basically born into hell, and you have to try and prove your worth and escape hell. Where pagans, because we don't come from the desert initially, we come from the luscious lands of this earth, from the tropical rainforest to the Nordic forests, see nature as the earth as something incredibly beautiful, to be and spectacular, and to be worshipped and loved and venerated, and to learn to tame and work with. It doesn't see nature as the enemy in the same way the desert folk does. And that's where Gnosticism's neuroses and things like the Abrahamic religions in general get that from. This terror, this hatred of nature and nature. That you see in things like Puritans. So that's how simulation theory would be. Literally, you're fucked. That's basically what simulation theory tells you. That an aliens or humans from the future, some other group, is controlling this illusion. Now that falls down immediately when you look at quantum theory, which is what I subscribe to, and I don't do it out of faith. I do it out of the fact that the double slit experiment, the Copenhagen experiment, completely annihilates the simulation theory just with that. The fact that it's the observer effect shows that each and every one of us creates this universe that we live in. And I subscribe to the kind of the Vedic concept of the Maya, that we're all having a kind of a consensus illusion, that we're all agreeing on this and creating this version of reality, this universe, as an illusion that we all agree upon. And basically we're building the universe going forward. So we're actually creating the universe through this Maya. And the double, if we lived in a simulation theory, you wouldn't have any control over it. Within a simulation theory that's being presented to you, you wouldn't have the observer effect, you wouldn't have quantum entanglement, and you wouldn't have quantum retrocausality. Now, both those three experiments, the observer effect, quantum retrocausality, and quantum entanglement, all prove that you have a stake in the creation of the universe, that you are involved in the generation of your reality. So therefore, this is where things like magic and everything else and miracles and all that kind of stuff, people are suddenly cured from terminal diseases. This is where all that stuff comes from. And yes, belief is the actual, the engine that, or should we say, the software hacks at it. And this is why you have people who do go to places like Lourdes and Fatima, and they do have they're suddenly cured of terrible diseases. And it's because they have basically hacked the subatomic matrix using their will, using their belief, using their faith. So this is why faith and belief are very important. And it's also why the atheists want to take it off all of us, Christians, pagans, Hindus, Muslims. They want to take it off. They want to believe us that there's nothing. So even atheism is a form of Gnosticism. So that's why the simulation theory falls down. I mean, and not even for me, it just falls down. In simulation, you would not have quantum retrocausality, the ability to change the past, which has now been proven and won the Nobel Prize for Physics. You wouldn't have quantum entanglement, which has been known about for a very long time. And you wouldn't have the observer effect. And what is, and ultimately, outside the world of theoretical physics, you wouldn't have magic. You wouldn't have miracles. Everything would be predestined it would be just like living inside a TV program and it being watched. Like that, the Truman Show is really about that. The Truman Show, he lives in a kind of a simulated theory. And then one day a light falls from the ceiling, whatever it was, and he realizes he's in a studio. And then he breaks from that into the quantum theme, the Maya, and realize that he does have control over things. I think a lot of stuff of like believing you're a prisoner goes back to the womb or something like that. That you don't exist outside the womb. So that's why I don't buy the simulation theory thing. Yeah, I'm totally down with the quantum theoretical model, because it's been proven in scientific experiments. It's been completely proven. And also, what would be if the simulation theory and Gnosticism were correct, what would be the point in living? What would be the point? It'd be pointless. Where the simulation theory traps you in dogmatic thinking, in punitive existences. The quantum theoretical model, it's not even a model, it's been proven incredibly from the time of Niels Bohr right to the present, to the last year's Nobel Physics Prize. It's totally experimentally stands up. It's like they say in the Oppenheimer movie. It's the ultimate paradox, but it works. It's like those things people say, well, no one knows what gravity is. That's true. No one really knows what gravity is. Any scientist tells you they knows what gravity is lying, because it's a mysterious force. The thing is, though, it still exists, So just because you can't weigh it, well, you can weigh it through causality, through experientiality, but you can't actually, show me a container of gravity. I know about gravitons and all that stuff, but that's still highly theoretical. But it still exists. It's still a fact, So this whole thing of like gravity doesn't exist. Of course it exists. It's just a mysterious thing. It doesn't, it's still, you know, we're still building the Maya. We're still learning. We're still doing the illusion. And also with paganism and with things like escaping this concept of sort of Gnostic physics in terms of the simulation theory, predestination, all this kind of thing, fate, gives you a much better stake in life. And when you have a much better stake in life, you have a better positive outlook because you know you can change things. And you also enjoy the richness of nature. Remember I was saying earlier on about the reason why we have this dourness within Abrahamic religions and within this fear of nature in Gnosticism too is because of the desert. You see it in Islam really big time. Because of the desert. I know they have the Fertile Crescent and all that, but that wasn't really where the religions began. The religions began in basically Israel and what we call Israel today, but like that part, that lower down, and you know, Judea. I'm talking about the Abrahamic religions. Now, one of the things you know, not only the beauty of nature, I'm looking around at me like here at the Sligo landscape, it's absolutely spectacular. But you also understand that nature has an intelligence. And that's very pagan, isn't it? Like the concept that nature has an intelligence and we anamorphize and zoomorphize as gods, goddesses, and animal spirits and so on. Auguries, the ability to see changes in the animal world and see that it represents something more than the sum of its own parts. For instance, I saw a video this morning of council workers in Glasgow in Scotland have been filming gigantic rats. Now I saw a huge rat, not a gigantic one, but the biggest one I've ever seen, just over here 2 weeks ago, running between two stone walls. This is a countryside rat, not a towny rat or a city rat. And I was shocked by the size of it. And there's Sarah talk. You'll hear Sarah talk about this, or she writes about this in the upcoming Hocus Pocus book, about this thing of the myomancy, noticing the appearance and sudden arrival of rats is telling you an awful lot about psychic disturbances in the community, in the landscape. So, I mean, rats are associated with things like plagues and that kind of thing. And we see what's happening with the needlecraft, and they just can't hide it anymore. Well, they will, of course they will. They blame on climate change or something like that, but you know what I'm saying. And that's what the rats represent. These rats may represent the inner turmoil of the establishment who realize, oh shit, we're in trouble, but they're not admitting it yet. There's other things too, like all these orcas attacking these boats. You know, that's definitely symbolic, you know. It's not just in Spain and Portugal, but happening in Ireland as well. And what's causing that? Is it these wind turbines and electric cables in the sea? I don't know. I don't know what it is, but there's something going on there. And then there's all kinds of weird animal things. And snake and serpent symbolism has been very strong lately. Like I told you, I saw those videos a few weeks ago of these colossal snakes in the Amazon and the Congo. And when I say colossal, I just don't mean 20 feet long. I mean like 60 feet long, with bodies as wide as this car and heads the size of supermarket shopping trolleys, caught very clearly on video. And this, you know, they also emerge from the Amazon, from the Congo River, from deep in the darkest depths of these flowing dark rivers. You know, they emerge from under there, and they're deadly and they're terrifying. So pay attention. This is one of the things about being a pagan is, or even a kind of a folk Catholic Christian or a folk Presbyterian that doesn't align with any church, but they do watch nature. They do, like, especially in a farming community, they observe things, and they do it through things like animal sicknesses and things like, oh, why are my sheep sick? and the sheep down the road aren't sick. There's something wrong with the family here. Believe me, that's or there's something been done to us. We're being targeted. Mass hysteria is another one. That you see, you'd have the thing, if you don't have the ability to affect your own consciousness, and you don't have the ability to change your own reality, you're very more likely to be whipped up into mass hysteria. This is why those of us who, during the time of the needlecraft and the lockdowns and the Rona, didn't succumb to the mass hysteria of it, because we were not prone to that mass hysteria. There was something in us that said, I'm not one of them and I'm not going to be part of the herd. And that's what happened there. But mass hysteria is a weapon used by, see, just because simulation theory doesn't exist, within quantum reality, in terms of the five sense consciousness nervous system aspect that we exist in, there are forces that are probably part of the process, almost certainly, that would like us to believe we're living in simulation theory. So things like climate change is a simulation theory. Things like the Rona lockdowns and all that, simulation theory. The banking systems, simulation theory. All fake, all false. But imposed in such a way that you believe them. An idolization of celebrities. And they use idolization of celebrities in order to control people. And they will, sometimes a celebrity, something happens to them like they die. And for some reason it's shoved in everyone's face by the media non-stop, as if it's almost organized. And even pop-up websites about it that show up. And you sit back to yourself and says, why is this person who is famed, had stopped a long time ago, suddenly been getting way more eulogized than Prince, a genuine superstar, got? Okay, have a good weekend.